Another week goes by, Ireland's problems get worse, and the government keep throwing money and time into things that do nothing but cause division, friction, and confusion. The Department of Justice, this was actually announced last week, but there's been an interview today with Simon Harris on Taoiseach, where he was put on the spot about the pushing of the indoctrination of ideological indoctrination in schools of white privilege. This concept that all people that are white immediately have a leg up in the world, being forced into children's minds in Irish schools. He was questioned about that today, and he's very content with it. He believes it's an essential part of the curriculum. And last week, the Department of Justice renewed funding for a white privilege school program. They received a group receiving €100,000, 100K, to travel around schools to talk to those kids about white privilege, that they're privileged because of the color of their skin, and then talk about racism and diversity and inclusion while pointing the finger at one group within that school and said, you're better off than everybody else. That doesn't cause unity. It doesn't cause harmony. It causes confusion. It causes friction. It causes annoyance. And it's complete bunkum. So last week, about $1.5 million of money was divvied out between 37 NGOs. Unreal. 100 grand here, 100 grand there for them to peddle this guff in public places, in schools, and wherever else. And O'Callaghan's happy enough to sign off on it. And of course, Simon the Rat Harris is more than happy to sit and nod along and think that it's a good thing. So he was put on the spot today by Ben Scallon from Grip Media. I'm going to show you the video. There'll be a link to that in the description box underneath this video. Let's hear what Harris has to say when he's questioned about this lunatic concept of white privilege.
The funding for the Yellow Flag program, which is operating in schools across the country, and as part of its anti-racism training that it's giving to students, it's teaching them about concepts like white privilege, the idea that all white people have inherent advantages in life because of the color of their skin. Do you think that that's an appropriate thing that children should be taught about in schools?
So I'm not sure exactly how it's taught or into the detail of the curriculum, but I do know the Amber Flag project, and I do think it's a really important.
Well, the Yellow Flag.
Sorry, Yellow Flag project. And I do know it.
Yeah, he knows the project so well, he doesn't even know the name of it. The Yellow Flag project. He says, I know the Amber Flag project very, very well. And when he was questioned about the teaching in the schools, oh, well, I'm not sure exactly what goes on in the curriculum. I'm not sure about that, but I know it's a good thing.
To be an important project that does teach about diversity, inclusion and anti-racism in our schools. It is an initiative that I'm supportive of, and I do think these things are caught in an appropriate way in our schools.
But on the white privilege point, I mean, do you understand why some parents would find that to be a troubling idea, that children are being taught to view themselves and others through a racial lens about who has advantages and privileges on the basis of their race? Is that not an inherently racist concept?
No, I do think racism is a reality in our society.
Sure, but that's sort of a separate...
It depends on how you frame it, and you'll frame it a certain way, and that's fine. But I do think there are facts in relation to racism in this country. Racism is real in this country, and the reality is people of minority backgrounds, people of different races do experience racism in the country.
So do white people. When white people are attacked by people from other countries of different skin colors, they're being racially attacked, are they not? When people are being prejudiced against in jobs because of diversity, equity, and inclusion targets, not the best person getting the job, but the most diverse workforce possible, that's prejudicing against people, whatever their skin color is, and that includes white people. Bearing in mind that Ireland is a very, very small country and is taking in proportionately huge numbers of people from all over the world, from different backgrounds, different skin colors, different languages, different belief systems, and rolling the carpet out for them and bending over backwards to accommodate them. I think it's galling to hear a rat like this talking about white privilege. I really do. And the fact that he wants it to be thrust down children's formative throats educationally in schools.
And not just in Ireland. And I think it's important that we teach our children about these things at a young age and in an appropriate way.
Yeah, he wants to teach children. It's got nothing to do with schools. That's what a parent is for. A parent is there to teach their children, to instill values in their children, to teach their children what's what, to teach their children about their background. Should never fall to the like of this. Doesn't give a damn about children, as evidenced by the whole rigmarole around young Harvey, who died during the summer after a lifetime of broken promises coming from this vile creature's mouth. And he's still in a job, and he's still survived 3 no confidence votes in the Dáil, and he's failed his way upwards into just about every ministerial position that there is. A damning statement for the Irish government and for the Irish voters. Damning statement. Now, some of the responses to this were excellent. Some of the responses to this underneath this video, someone has put a picture up there. This is a white Irish family who are currently homeless. And by the way, homelessness is currently at record levels in Ireland, and it's growing every month under this government. Here's some white privilege for you right here. Mother and at least 2 or 3 of her kids sitting on the street, eating a meal because they haven't got a home. Paul Hennessy says the Irish never had white privilege. We were enslaved ourselves, labelled black in Britain, stripped of our rights under the penal laws, starved during the famine, conscripted into British wars and treated as an inferior race for centuries. Our history is survival, not privilege. Anyone got anything to disagree with, or if you do, leave it in the comment section under this video. He's so aware of it, he calls it the amber flag. Exactly. The guy doesn't even know the name of the project. Guff, guff, and more guff. Racism works both ways. Exactly. This whole mindset that racism only goes one way is delusional. Absolutely delusional. We need to get rid of nonsense and sack that she-devil Ibn Joseph. Where's the time for proper subjects? Exactly. Whatever happened to educating children, creative writing, encouraging artistic expression, teaching relevant history, critical thought, budgeting, economics, instead of this garbage? Children need to learn the basics, reading, writing, and especially maths. And then they've added a picture there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a lot of people looking very disheveled indeed. White people. I think this is one of the saddest photos ever. It shows 3 generations of a family outside a makeshift tent in Alexander Street in Waterford in 1924. And guess what? They're all white. They're all poor. They're all broke. They're all cold. They're all hungry. And they're all homeless. White people. White privilege in Waterford. 1924 style. Little girl helping out, feeding what looked like 2 little piglets. Your ancestors were not evil, and they were not privileged. Irish natives were thought of as uncultured by the British. Our language, the culture were denied, resources stolen, people starved in the genocide to clear us from the land. I don't know how this ghoul, Simon Harris, is still a TD. Well, he's a ghoul because people keep voting for him and the government keep backing him up whenever people express no confidence in him, including so-called independents. Some so-called independents. It's a scandal. Lastly, the rhetoric conditioning is furthering the ethnocide of the Irish people. Exactly. This is conditioning. This is conditioning. This is not educating children. This is conditioning children. Parents, you need to wake up, stand up against this and say no. They systematically strip any pride in our people. Correct. It's a cultural demolition. What we've achieved, it's a shameful display of disregard towards the Indigenous Irish. Indeed. And lastly, what is white privilege? Was that working down a mine for 20 years, freezing through the winter? Now retired on a basic state pension and coming last for everything behind spongers, mostly illegal immigrants? Whatever it is, they can keep it. And let's not forget the recent protest hunger strike that took place at the back of the Dáil, where only white people sat and starved themselves for 50 days in a tent with health conditions to get the most basic of care from the Irish government that they'd been promised and never received after living a life of abuse in institutions. Were they privileged? I think not. But anyway, have you experienced this phenomena? If you have, let me know in the comments section below. Do you disagree with what I've said? Feel free to educate me. Let me know what you think. Cut and paste the link to this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media for now. Over and out.